Major Cleveland Browns report from Dianna Russini and Ian Rappaport. They spoke with Browns owner Jimmy Haslam. We have updates on Shedeur Sanders and Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski. Is his job safe? Jimmy Haslam gave us some insight, so you're going to want to stick around. We also have some breaking injury news for the Cleveland Browns that we'll get to as well. But this is why you hit that subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen, because The Athletic, it costs $72 for a subscription to their newspaper. The Browns report, it's $0. It's free, and I'll tell you exactly what they said in the article. We beat the system. It's a great deal for all of us. You get to sit back and enjoy a nice little video for free to hit that red subscribe button. Here's the first thing that Jimmy Haslam told Dianna Russini about Shedeur Sanders. He said, listen, he's a serious football player, and inside the building, there's no noise, Haslam told her. He comes to work every day, just like everybody else, and he's trying to get better as a football player. Shedeur is working really hard. He is approaching this with a great mentality. He's going in the building, earning his reps, and then there are multiple photos of Shedeur working out on his off days, going to local high schools, still getting reps in, still getting practice. Because remember, he hasn't even got first-team reps in the building. And so Shedeur is putting in that hard work, and it should be something encouraging to see from a young quarterback that gets a lot of talk. Also, Jimmy Haslam's family at the Dolphins game last week showed up wearing Shedeur Sanders jerseys. The owner's kids are wearing number 12. I mean, clearly, the owner's loving having Shedeur in there. So what's the disconnect? What is the issue? Why is he not getting any time? Let's take a look at some of these reasons. But where is Shedeur? Well, number one, he's not gotten any reps with the first team. Stefanski still has not let him practice with the starters at all, which might not help his development. And then in the Dolphins game, the Browns were getting blown out. Shedeur was named quarterback too, and he was not put into the game with 4 minutes left, up 31-6. What team doesn't bench the starters when it's a blowout? Shedeur didn't get any reps in NFL action then. And finally, this Sunday against the Patriots, all of a sudden Shedeur was inactive with a back injury. A lot of people think this is suspicious. I don't like to be the one to speculate, but I do think it's suspicious that it didn't show up until Friday/Saturday, and all of a sudden, which we've never heard about it, all of a sudden it's a back injury and he was inactive. A lot of NFL insiders weighed in on this, including Skip Bayless, who is not normally the most reputable source, but he did sound off about this topic, said, just see Shedeur was suddenly inactive today because of a back injury, even though he did participate in warm-ups. I always thought Bailey Zappi was the unofficial backup anyway. Man, I wish the Browns would trade Shedeur this week or fire Stefanski tomorrow. Wow. So it is true. Shedeur did go out there and warm up as if he was going to give it a go, and then they ruled him inactive. The clear disconnect here, ladies and gentlemen, is Kevin Stefanski. He's the reason Shedeur is not getting the reps, and they chose Dillon Gabriel. They chose him as a starter. They drafted him over Shedeur. We know that. But Shedeur's really not getting any reps or development in the camp. He's doing it himself, it feels like. And that's not necessarily knocking Kevin Stefanski, but it is showing that his decisions reflect that he does not want Shedeur to play. He does not want to have to turn to Shedeur so soon. They're pushing Gabriel. They want it to be Gabriel. For some reason, they think he's the guy. For 4 weeks, that has not been the case. Some other actions that indicate that Stefanski is not trying to turn to Shedeur. Well, look, start in the preseason when he was named quarterback 4 on a depth chart with Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, and Dillon Gabriel. Even though he balled out against the Panthers in week 1 of the preseason, he remained 4th until Pickett got traded and Flacco got traded. And then, when Flacco was benched, he was named quarterback 3. He wasn't even the backup after the quarterback had just been benched. Is that not a clear sign that Stefanski does not want to turn to Shedeur? Finally, they're not even developing him as if he's going to come in soon by not letting him get any reps with the ones, with the first teamers. Gabriel was getting reps with the ones when Flacco was the starter and Gabriel was the backup. Those are the facts of the situation, folks. I still think they will turn to Shedeur this season eventually, but Stefanski's trying not to go in that direction. They asked Kevin Stefanski about this, if he was going to stick with Gabriel, and he said, The Browns need to evaluate everywhere, but yes, we're sticking with Gabriel. And of course, that was one of the first questions asked after an awful performance against the Patriots. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Gabriel did not play well. And we lost that football game in large part to Dillon and the offense. Jimmy Haslam told Dianna Russini that 3 games is not a great sample size for Gabriel. He said this just before last Sunday. Well, what about 4 games? 5, 6, 7? I mean, how many is it going to take before you realize that he is not the guy and will not produce in this offense that doesn't have weapons around him? His 4th start, like I said, is just not enough evidence. He threw 2 interceptions. One of them was awful. 3rd and 7, I don't know what he saw on the play. Njoku was blanket, and he still threw that football. And then he's standing in the end zone, throws the ball to nobody. No one's in the area. It's one of the worst mistakes you can make. It's intentional grounding in the end zone. And then the game's getting out of reach. We're 4th and 15, and he checks it down. We're still throwing checkdowns, down by 20. The stats back it up. The evidence shows. At 156 passing yards total, 2 tutties, 2 picks. That was the story of the 4th start, and I'm telling you, they're going to give him a couple more weeks. But personally, I don't see why. He's got a quarterback rating of 25.8 right now. That is 32nd in the league. The only player who has a worse QBR is Cam Ward. That's it. Gabriel and Ward. Like I said, they're probably going to keep starting him. But you have to have this conversation. He's not the answer. Ian Rappaport also gave us another quote from owner Jimmy Haslam. Haslam said Shedeur's making progress in practice. We're going to continue to work both of these guys. And I showed you the family of Haslam's families wearing Shedeur jerseys. Like, it would make sense that they turn to him eventually in a few weeks. But Stefanski says that is not the case right now. ESPN Cleveland weighed in, said, well, what are you waiting for? Right? Are we still confident in Gabriel to have any success right now? Not with this offense. And I think, for me, the way that Shedeur still has a glimmer of hope amongst Browns fans. Like, maybe we have the guy. Maybe we don't. But I think it's worth seeing. Because if it doesn't work with Shedeur Sanders, then you know the problem. Fire everybody. Blow the whole thing up. It's the offensive line. It's the receivers. Now you know the problem is not quarterback. Or it's everyone around the quarterback. Because if it didn't work with Deshaun Watson, if it doesn't work with Joe Flacco, if it didn't work with Dillon Gabriel, and it doesn't work with Shedeur, that's enough quarterback sample size to be like, okay, our offense is just so bad that everybody will fail. But there's no excuse not to put Shedeur in if both Flacco and Gabriel were terrible. Let's prove it. And let him develop a little bit, because I still think he has the higher ceiling in that quarterback room. I'm not giving up on that. I've been saying it for months. People, I think, are finally starting to realize after you just saw what you saw from Dillon Gabriel. So, give him a chance. I agree. What are we waiting for? And then if it doesn't work, you got to blow this thing up in the offseason and get an offensive supporting cast that will help your rookie quarterbacks. The next 5 games for the Cleveland Browns, if I had to pinpoint where I think Shedeur will come in, we'll give him what we know from Stefanski. Seems like Dillon will be the starter after the bye, probably week 10 and 11. Now, for me and a lot of other analysts, we'd reevaluate in the bye week and maybe let Shedeur start right out of it against the Jets. That's a good game to get right. What I really want people to look at, though, is this Titans game coming up in week 14. For some reason, it has all the makings of that's when Shedeur would play against Cam Ward, the rookie quarterback, where they had a little bit of a back and forth before the draft. Quarterback where those were the 2 that were supposed to be the 2 best quarterbacks in the draft. And Shedeur fell all the way to the 5th round for some reason. I do think it'd be cinema. Bookmark that to see Shedeur play the Titans. What do you think, though, Browns fans? When will Shedeur actually play? What week should the Cleveland Browns start Shedeur Sanders? We got either week 10 after the bye all the way up to week 18. Comment that number in the comment section below. When do you want to see number 12 actually get out there, and when should he? It'll be the perfect timing, though, no matter when it is. Coming up, Jimmy Haslam also talked about Kevin Stefanski's job Security, the owner's weighing in on something Browns fans have been vocal about. I'll tell you exactly what he had to say and what the future looks like. But first, super excited to tell you about a word from our sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with Prize Picks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Football is in full swing now on Sundays. All is right with the world, and I'm big into daily fantasy with Prize Picks. I'm obsessed with it because it makes all the games more entertaining, and before the Browns play, I lock in on all my players in my lineup and their player projections. Prize Picks is simple to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. Prize Picks also offers injury reboots. If one of your players leaves the game in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks won't count it as a loss. I've got a Monday Night Football lineup. Matt Gay, more than half a field goal. Think he'll be good for that. Patrick Mahomes, more than 1.5 passing touchdowns. And Travis Kelce didn't get to celebrate National Tight End Day. I think he'll have a celebration tonight. More than 41.5 receiving yards. If you want to try and make some money, you can follow my lineup. But to do so, download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Okay, let's take a look at Jimmy Haslam's comments on Coach Kevin Stefanski, the 2-time Coach of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, might be a fluke award, but here's what Haslam had to say to Dianna Russini. Kevin's done a really good job with us, and we've had some tough breaks, Haslam said, referencing the mega deal that brought Deshaun Watson to Cleveland. A big trade we made didn't work out, and we are all suffering from that. Kevin, I thought, really did a great job of rallying the troops last week at a really critical time. You find out about leaders when things are bad, not when they're good, and he did a good job last week against the Dolphins. This is the weirdest juxtaposition of the Cleveland Browns, right? Because obviously there's a lot of issues, but Kevin Stefanski has had issues. He is part of the problem the past few years. There is no doubt about that. Some of the play calling has been questionable, and a lot of the development has been stifled. I mean, we have not seen success with a slew of different quarterbacks. I referenced Watson, Winston, Zappy. I don't care. You name it. Flacco. Sometimes it worked when our defense was really good in 2023. When it's all up to Stefanski in the offense, it has been awful as of lately. And his record's been pretty bad, too. Mike Vrabel, after the game, said when their gimmick plays ran out, we played pretty good defense. It's literally taking a shot at our coaching staff. We're a joke. The play calling's a mess. We have 5 gimmick plays, and once you're out of that, we can't do anything on offense. We couldn't score until under 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter after the very first drive of the game. It's so easy to figure it out. Teams are clamping us up. It's a joke. Absolutely, Kevin Stefanski deserves some blame. If you told me fire Kevin Stefanski, I couldn't argue with you. I couldn't make the case anymore. And I can somewhat defend the fact that he's had a lack of talent the past couple seasons on offense. Right? There's not much to work with. But I wouldn't argue back at you. Because he's had issues. A good coach would bring out the best in our team. Would develop the players. Not let Baker Mayfield walk. Not let Deshaun Watson have the worst play of his career, which is partially on Watson. But seriously, in this season, the 2 quarterbacks, Flacco and Gabriel, it has been disgusting to watch the Browns offense week after week after week. I'm not kidding. It's sickening. A good coach would do better with the young talent we have. That's all I have to say. What say you, Browns fans? Should the Browns fire Kevin Stefanski? Type Y for yes if you're done with him after that Patriots loss. Type N for no if you think, hey, Stefanski is not the problem. I think he is one of them. And so, sounds like Haslam's going to roll with him for the rest of the year based on what he told Dianna Russini. Fine, but next year, let's have some serious reevaluation. because this was an issue, the play calling specifically. Ian Rappaport has some breaking injury updates as well for the Cleveland Browns that you probably are interested to know. Standout rookie running back Quinshon Judkins suffered an AC joint sprain in his shoulder. It's considered day-to-day. Cleveland has a bye next week. So somewhat like I told you yesterday, didn't seem like it would be super serious, and the good news is the bye's coming up, so Quinshon could get right. Day-to-day tells me it's a bit of a mild injury, and he could be back to face the Jets, where he would absolutely wreak havoc against that Jets' awful defense. He then gave us an update about Carson Schlesinger, confirmed a high ankle sprain. Not believed to be a major one, but Carson Schlesinger will be reevaluated after the bye to see when he might play. The Browns are calling him week to week instead of day to day. So yes, Schlesinger will probably miss a couple weeks, but the fact that it's not a major high ankle sprain tells us it won't be on that plus side of 6 weeks. You're probably looking at more 3 to 4, and we can maybe get him back sooner than we once thought. So, unfortunate injuries, but they are on the more positive side of not serious injuries at all. Folks, thank you so much for tuning into this edition of the Cleveland Browns Report. Lots to talk about. Lots going on in social media. Start Shedeur Sanders. Fire Kevin Stefanski. Those are the topics, once again, for the Browns fans, and I think rightfully so after that Patriots' ugly loss. Make sure you sound off in that comment section what you think, and hit that subscribe button for daily Cleveland Browns news and content for free. I'm here with you. I'm here for you, Browns fans, being one myself. Thank you so much for being a part of the community and subscribing. We appreciate you all, and we'll see you next time.